active from One Option chat room, and today I guess I'm making a special little morning edition video. So, hope everyone is doing well. Today I primarily wanted to talk about how to deal with mornings like this, where the market gaps up to almost the high of the year, or let's just say almost to a new relative high, and you are freaking out because you're frothing at the mouth with how many great stocks there are that you could potentially trade. You're like a kid in a candy store with $1 million in your pocket to buy whatever the fuck you want. Yeah, these days are dangerous, and we like to talk about FOMO Joe in the chat room, who has no restriction on himself and he just flies into everything only to get burnt. I feel bad for the FOMO Joes out there today because those who jumped in right at the beginning definitely got their asses handed to them. All right. So, what happened on the open? Well, of course, like I said, we gapped up to almost the high of the year, right? We instantly pulled back with two nice red candles. Nothing too crazy, right? We're not stacking these on very heavy volume, but again, we're pulling back right away. So no need to rush. No need to ever rush into anything within the first 30 minutes to an hour. I usually like to tell myself the only time you should ever rush into anything is if you see stacked candles of a single color on heavy volume with technical breakouts. Do we have any of those? Do we have heavy volume? No. Please excuse this activate Windows. I'm on my Mac right now. So this is parallels. But anyways, this is not heavy volume. We're not seeing stacked candles of a consecutive color, let alone green candles to the upside. And we're not seeing technical breakouts whatsoever. We're not breaking to the high of the year. So that's my rule. That is the only time I am willing to quote unquote chase something, and I don't have that. So immediately I'm sitting on my hands just watching, right? So anyways, after these two candles, we start getting a little bit of mixed candles here, right? Some wicks, some tails, red, green. Then we get this nice little red, long red candle. Flush out some of these stops here. Nice long green bullish nice long green bullish engulfing candle immediately, followed by another green candle. I bet you right here, this trapped a lot of people. They saw this as maybe support is forming. Nice long red candle, immediately engulfed by this. They're thinking, oh my God, this is it. We're finding support at the halfway point of the gap. We've stacked another little candle here. We're going to go and break through the high of the year. This is going to be a great day. I'm going to make so much goddamn money. Uh-oh. Oh, no. That is not what you want. Yeah. Rest in peace to the FOMO Joes who jumped in right here, because this was a nasty long red bar to flush out these unfortunate souls who jumped in here. Luckily for those of us who use Option Stalker Pro, we saw that, well, we do have a pending bearish 1OP cycle coming, and we also know, just wait, there's no reason to just rush into a trade at the opening bell in the market in the morning. Wait at least 30, 45 minutes to an hour to see what happens, especially when we're at a resistance point like, I don't know, the high of the year. So just chill out, wait to see what happens. And if you were doing the correct thing, which is to be patient, now you're seeing this and you're like, oh shit, well, thankfully I didn't just jump into something right away. Now you're watching the price action to see this bearish 1OP cycle is starting to continue onward, right? Maybe we're going to get a higher low, double bottom, get back above the previous high of the day up through VWAP. That would be nice, but just, again, wait to see what this bearish 1OP cycle does. There's no reason to just jump into shit because you're worried this is going to be the trade of the century. I'm never going to get this opportunity ever again. Just wait for the market to give you some tailwind at your back so that you can feel more comfortable. Also, you see all these alerts here? This is what you want to be doing when the market is just kind of doing whatever. Like, good Lord, this is a lot of alerts. I talked about in the chat room earlier today how I have a lot of alerts right now on stocks I'm watching, and now you can see these are all popping up. Does this mean I immediately enter? No, this just means that, hey, I set this alert earlier. Now I'm getting an alert saying, why don't you check it out? Which I'll go check it out later. You see how I'm not just rushing into all this right now? Why not? Because I still don't feel confident about the market yet. I need to wait for this bearish 1OP cycle to figure itself out. And let's just say I didn't have this, right? Let me go. Actually, I don't want to remove it because I'm too lazy. But let's just say we did this so I can't see it, right? What if I just had this, right? Well, what do I have here? I have volume and I have LRSI. What I see here, right? I would need to wait for that higher low, double bottom. Ideally, we get through the previous high of the day. We get through view up, make another higher low. At that point, I'd start to feel comfortable, especially if we start putting consecutive green candles where we don't get a lot of retracement. That would make me feel pretty good. So I am lucky though, because I do have Option Stalker Pro. So I have this additional little compass, I will say, so to speak, 1OP, which is a predictive indicator for the S&P 500 or the SPY. This is telling me to just chill out for a bit, right? I can see it in the price action, but 1OP is nice because it also gives us that extra little guidance, so to speak, to just wait to see what's going to happen. All right. So anyways, kind of lost my train of thought here, but let me go ahead and go to my other view. And this is kind of my normal setup I usually have. So I always have a chart of the SPY in the background, a 5-minute chart. And then I have my standard, I guess, everything else view of stocks I like to look through. Now, I always like to start by looking at the daily chart. So that way I have a better understanding of, if, let's say I took a look at CRWD, right? If I were just to go into its 5-minute chart, I might think like, oh yeah, maybe this stock looks great or whatever. But if I go to its daily chart and it looks like shit, I'm not going to even bother touching it. You always want to have the longer term context supporting the trade that you are considering making. You don't want to just go bottom fishing or top picking for whatever stupid reason just because the intraday price is telling you. Always try to pick the best of the best. That's a great way to be consistent, is be consistent with your stock picks, right? We talk about having check boxes where you have technical breakouts or test of support and confirmation that, the SMA 100 is going to hold or whatever. Like take, for example, Airbnb, right? Yesterday, or I guess last week, right, had this nice long green key bar breaking through this downward sloping trend line, breaching through the SMA 100, get a little bit of a pause. Yesterday we test the SMA 100 just like we did the day prior, and now we have a nice bull flag and the stock is pushing higher. That's great. This is definitely a stock to be watching. I called this one out in this chat room earlier. I actually entered this yesterday because I liked what I was seeing with the support that was being established here. But yeah, Airbnb is definitely a good stock to go through. So anyways, what is all this stuff down here? Well, you saw all those alerts earlier. I had about like 5 or 6 of them pop off at the same time. Why didn't I do anything? Well, as I mentioned, I still don't feel comfortable with what the market is doing. I need conviction that, we are going to continue to move higher. This is just a test for support in the gap. Almost had a gap fill here, not quite, but again, I don't feel I need to rush. I'm just waiting right now. And look, here's another alert. Let's take a look. LEN. I set a bullish 3-8 EMA crossover alert on this. I like this D1 breakout. You can see the resistance right here. We were kind of just, digesting this nice gap up here. Didn't ever get down to that halfway point of the gap. Boom. Nice bullish flag. And now we're continuing off. And if we go to that 5-minute chart, you can see stock opened up, gapped up, right? Immediately while the market was pulling back here. Started to pull back as well. Nice long green candle up all the way here. Now you can see the stock has just been chilling up here while the market has done what? Down, down, further into the gap. This thing has barely In fact, it's not even to trace 5% of this long green candle. This is definitely a stock to be watching right now. This could definitely end up being a great day trade. It could certainly end up being a great swing trade as well. In fact, if I scroll back a little bit on the daily chart, this thing looks like it's at the high of the year. I don't know if this is an all-time high. Guess I could go into the monthly chart. Yeah, this is an all-time high. So this is definitely a great stock to be watching. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and set another alert, which what I like to use is this EOD or end of day alert. And I just like to drop a line. Let's just say, I don't know, maybe right here. I usually like to use these alert lines in conjunction with the alert console or the more specific alerts that we can use in Option Stalker Pro. Like for instance, a 3-8 crossover, or maybe an LRS, LRSI reversal where LRSI pops below 0.2 and then pops back above it. It's kind of just like nice extra technical confirmation for me, so that if I get the alert but I feel like the market isn't ready to move higher yet, just add this alert, and then if it triggers, then I'll evaluate. Do I want to enter yet? Do I want to enter yet? Do I still feel comfortable with the stock, etc.? It just gives me an extra little buffer period to wait, because again, I'm not trying to rush into trades for the sake of making trades. I'm here to eventually make money. And just because you open a trade does not mean you're going to make money. In fact, it's unfortunately the opposite for a lot of people, because people don't have the patience to just wait for those ideal conditions. In fact, I guess I'll just sidestep for a second. I recently just completed the 10-step or the milestones laid out in the Real Day Trading Wiki. TLDR is I had 3 months of 75% win rate with a profit factor above 2.0 for the months of June through August in my paper account. And then I switched to a 1-share account from September to November, in which I also hit another 3 consistent months of win rate above 75% and a profit factor of above 2.0. And honestly, I think that's awesome. I felt really good for myself. And when I think about my journey having started last year in the month of August, what has changed? Well, obviously, I'm more experienced now. Screen time and just being live and trading in the market every day, whether it's a paper account or 1-share or whatever, you're always going to get good experience, and you're always going to be able to learn something new every day, especially if you're meticulous with your journaling. And if you're in the chat room, for instance, like the One Option chat room, or even the live discussion thread that's on the Real Day Trading Wiki, right? There's going to be a lot of trades posted. If you're scrolling through those, especially when you see Harry post a trade, or Dave or Dan, and you see good stuff, learn from it. Figure out why they went to go into that stock, and carry that forward with you. But honestly, I also think the biggest thing for me was learning to fully embrace patience in my trading, and also I think outside of my trading life as well. I would say I look at trading a little bit more holistically, and that I think that patience goes a very, very, very long way in trading. And so I try to just practice patience as much as I can in everyday life, right? Usually I like to meditate every day. I like to just, whenever I can, just practice a little bit of patience, just pause and take a deep breath. I know this might sound a little bit crazy or whatever, and I don't know, I'm probably a little bit crazy to be honest, but it's really worked out for me to just wait for those ideal setups where the market is ready to move higher and you're ready to enter along, or if it's going down, down, down and you're wanting to short, just wait for confirmation of that. I think what happens, and I'm just going to go ahead and close these. We'll look through a couple of stocks in a second. I just want to keep rambling here a little bit. I think what happens, and in my experience, is that you see people like Harry and Dave, who are professional traders. They're posting their trades in the chat room, right? And we don't know their exact reasons for entering the trades, right? You might be able to like look at the chart of like, let's say McDonald's, which they were both in yesterday, and actually a lot of us have been in this trade over the last several days, right? You might see them enter McDonald's and you're like, oh, hey, that's cool. Like, well, if you look at the price action yesterday, this was just a bunch of crap, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. There was going nowhere. And you might not feel comfortable going into the trade. At least I wasn't. Not, well, I did make trades yesterday, but just entering a trade because you see them entering trades is not a good idea, because you need to develop your own confidence to be able to enter trades. You don't know their time frame. You don't know exactly what they're thinking, what their target might be. Just because you see others firing off trades in the chat room does not mean that you should also be doing that. You should only be firing off trades if you feel comfortable doing so, and your comfort doing so needs to come from your confidence in the market, your confidence in the stock, and also the longer term context. What is the context today, etc. There's a lot of factors in, and I guess what I'm trying to say with all this rambling here is that don't just fire off trades for the sake of making trades. Make sure you're really choosing the best stocks and you're picking moments of higher probability, right? I think for me, just slowing down and just, taking at most only a few trades per day and what I felt like were the highest probability setups really helped me to just think about what I was doing and making sure that I was picking what felt like were the best stocks. And on top of that, I'm posting all of my trades in the one option chat room. It's a great way to stay accountable. It also helps in the case you make a silly trade or you make a mistake of some kind, right? You'll get called out for it, usually, especially if it's a huge mistake. Like if I, for some stupid fucking reason, decided to short McDonald's here, I'm sure Harry and practically everyone else in the chat room would be like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you? This is a horrible idea. Um, so, anyways, just always try to be patient. Whatever it takes for you to develop patience, do that, because it's really, really going to help you. And on top of just patience, right? Always be studying the market, watch Pete's videos, read his articles in the system, read Harry's posts in the wiki, watch Pete's videos on YouTube. Eventually, you're just going to see so much of this price action on a day-to-day basis and in different contexts that you're just going to start subtly picking things up and seeing things that you may not have been seeing before that are now a part of your analysis, right? A year ago, and even earlier this year, I would see this and I'd be like, I don't really know what's going on, but hey, bullish 1OP cycle is coming soon. Maybe I can start going long. But just through my limited experience, I can see a lot more looking at this than I did a year ago. So stay consistent with your study, develop patience. Don't just fire off trades like you're a kid in a candy shop, right? You've seen all these alerts popping up. I haven't even looked at them yet. I will, but again, I'm not in any rush to make any trades because this price action here is nothing to write home about. But yeah, set your alerts and wait for those opportune moments. I guess if we want to look at a couple of charts, we can go ahead and do so. Honestly, there are so many good trades out there. It's definitely a little bit overwhelming, especially on a day today where it's like, I really want to go and make a trade or whatever. You don't need to do that, as we've discussed, right? And it can be particularly difficult on days like today because there's just so much going on and there's so many good looking stocks, right? So just set your alerts and try to pick the best of the best when the market is telling you it's go time. I do like what I'm seeing right here in the market, right? We are seeing a little bit of a higher low. I still would not be going long here, right? As I've mentioned earlier, I want to see us break above the previous day's high, ideally through VWAP as well. Okay, so I'm just waiting, and I'm okay with waiting right now because I don't need to do anything until the market says it's go time. All right, I'm rambling way too much here, so let's go ahead and just take a couple of looks at some stocks. CVS was one that was called out this morning. I do like this SMA 200 breach. You see some decent volume here on this move up. CVS did have some news come out yesterday. I don't remember exactly what it was. Something to do with lower drug prices within stores. I don't know. Doesn't really matter too much to me, given that price does not lie. So it's true. Doesn't matter what headlines say. If the stock is putting in great price action and the news is material enough, you're going to see it reflected in the price action. And this is nice. This is a decent pullback from the high previously, but it is starting to find a little bit of support. And if you compare this with the market, right? Market has been making lower highs. This, well, higher low. Yes, you can say that this is a higher low, but when you compare the opening price, you can see that this guy, well, has found support well above the close of this long green candle. So this is definitely one to watch. And in fact, I will go ahead, drop this alert line so that I can see if this does start to move above VWAP, and if the market's looking good, then could be something to consider. Let's see, what else looked good? Square looked nice. Someone pointed this out. Oh yeah, this is really nice. Look at this. Little gap up, immediate continuation, chop a little bit, grind higher. What is the market doing? We already know what the market is doing, but just in case you're unsure, look at this. Market open here, down here, stock open here, up here. That's relative strength. So let me go ahead and take off the SPY overlay. Also, if you're wondering what the hell are all of these lines here, that's a really good question. My charts can look a little bit, how do I say, crowded. And right now I'm on my laptop, so that's part of the reason. But the reason I have all this stuff on is because I always start with the daily chart. So when I'm flipping back and forth between, hey, look at that, CVS just gave me the alert above that trend line that I just dropped. But anyways, I like to flip through the daily and the 5-minute chart. So yeah, that is why these lines for the SMAs continue to stay here. I don't use them on the 5-minute chart, and neither should you, because they're not relevant on the 5-minute chart. But I'm just lazy to swap back and forth, and it doesn't really obscure my view, at least for me, what I see on the charts, right? So it's okay for me. And I guess I should just say this. You don't need a million monitors to be successful as a trader. I oftentimes just trade on my laptop, which is just one monitor. Yes, it gets very busy and it's a little crazy. And I understand this probably drives a lot of people crazy looking at all this shit on my screen. But it works for me. I do end up going to my desktop a lot, in which I do have multiple monitors, so I can make my charts a little bit less congested, but it doesn't do anything for my trading or my decision-making process. So again, it doesn't bother me too much, but totally understand if it is getting in the way for you. Okay, let's take a look at some other ones. I set an alert on Robinhood earlier. This thing has been a freaking rocket ship since the end of November. Definitely a very strong stock. Would I chase this right now? Well, I would never really chase, but, well, clearly this thing is very strong. I would definitely consider day trading it. And as you can see, higher low, finding support at VWAP. Yeah, this looks pretty nice. Could definitely be a good trade. Like I said, day trade, you could swing it, but I don't know, where would you put your support? Maybe at the 100-day moving average? It's pretty far away from here, so if you're gonna consider going that low, might want to use a smaller size for your position, or perhaps find another level of support, or even better, set a longer term alert, right? Like let's say I go into the 1-hour chart. This looks really nice, right? What if instead of entering now, I waited for an LRSI pullback to go below 0.8 or even 0.2 and then go back above it? That might set up a really nice entry point, right? And I can evaluate that price action when that alert is triggered to see what it was like on the way down. Was it mixed overlapping on light volume, yeah, then, well, I might have a really nice bull flag that I could trade. So that could be a good way to consider opening a trade in this as well. If you don't want to day trade this and you want to go in for a longer term move, let's see, I'll go ahead and look at one more trade, or excuse me, not trade, just stock. UPST was really nice. I know Dave was in this earlier. This is a very nice move from the low down here through all of the SMAs, stacked green candles, little pause yesterday, and we're continuing again today, all on heavy volume. You can see it in the 5-minute chart. Nice strength. Opening gap up, nice long green candle. Don't even touch the close of this long green candle. Higher low, and now we're kind of just chopping around a little bit above VWAP, but yeah, the stock definitely is strong right now. And what do I know? I'll go look at one more stock just because I keep saying one more stock. AAL. AAL is nice. Okay. Well, it was above the 100-day moving average earlier. Now it's not. And it's not too surprising because, again, well, look at the market doing now. It's continuing to move down a little bit. But if this thing does get back above VWAP and it starts to grind higher and it finds support again, right? Let's say we move up, make a new high, or, maybe we're find a level here and we start to pull back, and then we find a low here and then continue up. That could be good. Quick note on how I deal with intraday breaks of support, like an SMA or a trend line or whatever it might be. Usually what I like to do is have an intraday support or intraday test of that resistance line, right? So I don't know, what's a good example? I guess we can just use AAL as an example, right? But let's just say that AAL on this pullback intraday stayed above 1360, which you can see here is where that SMA 100 is, right? If it stayed above that, and let's say it found support right at this level where VWAP was at that time, right around 1040, and then it started to go higher, I'd feel pretty good about it, especially when you consider a day trade and what the market is doing right now. I would be like, yeah, that looks good to me, right? Sellers tried to push it down to the SMA. Buyers immediately came in, scooped that shit up, and were like, let's go. I'm flying first class to, I don't know, set your daily chart target. Let's just say the SMA 200. Yeah, we're going to the SMA 200. Look, buyers came in and supported it. I'm all for it. That's not what happened here. That doesn't necessarily mean I wouldn't trade it. I still like this higher low, and the stock does have some nice strength today. Again, especially considering the market, which, by the way, starting to drip lower again. Just because it looked like 1OP was going to start crossing over doesn't mean that it's time to go long. You need technical confirmation, which we didn't have here, right? 1OP could continue to just drop a little bit lower. We don't know. We need to have that technical confirmation before we go long. What would be a good entry point for going long? Well, I've already mentioned multiple times now, break above this and VWAP here. If you want to set an alert, you could take the high here, drop this downward sloping trend line. This kind of comes in perfectly with that level, especially as the next 5-minute candles start to pop up. You'll see this start drifting a little bit lower down to this level. Maybe it breaks it, maybe it doesn't, but right now, no reason to rush into any trades. Anyways, I was talking about intraday breaks of technical resistance and support. Yeah, never just rush in because you see a long candle through a technical resistance level on the daily chart that is just broken with that long candle. Wait to see what the price action is like after. Set those alerts, right? So like earlier today, when this broke through the 100-day moving average was right here, okay? This would be a great place and a great time to set an alert, like a real relative strength alert, where you wait for this to dip below zero and go back above, and you can evaluate what was happening on this pullback here, right? Or another way I like to do it is to click EOD or end of day alert, drop an alert line, and wait to see if it retraces and taps that. Now, obviously, it's already breached it, so because, on the way down, it of course broke it. But that's another great way to try to catch a move down to see what the price action is like on the way down so that you can evaluate what this pullback was like. So again, I do like AAL, but I would want to see nice grind higher, maybe another test of support, perhaps at VWAP, just some level above the 100-day SMA. It give me a little bit more confidence, and I would need the market to tell me you're good to go for a trade before I would consider going long this. All right, that's a lot of rambling. Hopefully this was helpful to some degree. Mainly just wanted to make this video because there's really nothing going on, and hopefully this shows you my lack of current conviction right now to go long because I have no sense of urgency. I have trained myself that there's never a need to just rush into anything. The only scenario that is maybe worth rushing into something, and I say that with, quotes on rushing in because it really is a good setup to just go long something or go short something, is when you have stacked candles of a single color on heavy volume with technical breakouts. We don't have any of those three things right now. No stacked candles, no heavy volume, no technical breakout. If instead today on this gap up, we had long green candle, long green candle, long green candle stacked with little to no retracement on heavy volume, and we broke through the high of the year and then had a bullish 10p divergence during that 10p bearish cycle, and fuck yeah, that's a great setup. But that's not what we're getting, and that's okay because, well, ideally you didn't enter any trades, and if you did, it's okay. Part of the learning process. No worries. You're gonna make mistakes, and you're gonna have to, of course, learn from those. Don't beat yourself up too hard. Trading is so much based on mindset and your ability to cope with and learn from mistakes and to carry those lessons forward. So just embrace the fact that you're going to make mistakes and it's okay. Look, even though I've completed the 10 steps in the wiki, I am not a professional trader. I'm definitely not ready to be a professional full-time trader. I would love to, perhaps one day, but I don't feel I'm at that level yet. And the reason I don't feel at that level yet is because, well, I've still only been trading for about a year and 3 months. So I don't feel like I have the experience at all of someone like Pete, who has been trading for more than 30 years. Of course, I don't have that experience. But I know in time, if I continue trading, I continue following my process, which involves being patient and trusting that the market will eventually give me good opportunities to make good trades, right? If I stick with that and I continue to come in and day out, keep studying, then I know in time, I'm going to get more experience and I'll start to feel more comfortable, especially now that I'm trading a smaller size to count, right? Over time, if I continue to do well, I'm going to want to increase the amount that I trade. And it's just a whole process. And I'm in no rush to, quit my day job or anything like that. I'm okay with waiting, continuing to prove to myself that I know what I'm doing so that, at some point then I can make a decision of what I want to do. So yeah, by no means am I done or have I made it just because I did those 10 steps. I see this as, a lifelong journey that there will always be learning to be done and improvements that I can make in my own trading style and process. So no need to rush, no need to worry. If you're anxious about completing those 10 steps, just try to drop any sort of expectation and really just surrender yourself to following the 10 steps outlined in the wiki, being patient, right? My single biggest piece of advice, if for some reason you haven't picked it up by now, is learn to be patient. You can reinforce patience mechanically by setting alerts on stocks and waiting for the market to tell you it's time to go long. If you can convince yourself to do that and then consistently do that on a daily basis, that will transform your trading. It did for me, and I feel confident it would for a lot of people. Um, because now I feel like when I do make trades, I'm making trades at good times, and on top of that, I'm posting my trades too, so that, if I do make a trade that is questionable, then people will be able to call me out on it. Or if it ends up going poorly or just whatever and I want feedback on it, then, I have a specific timestamp that I can point to that says, hey, I made a trade here. Can you help me find any mistakes that I was making in my analysis, whether it was the stock or it was the market, right? By the way, I really like this strength here on AAL. Look at this. Market, red, red, red. Stock, green, green, green. This is some nice strength. Again, I would not be going long right now because we're continuing to retrace. In fact, now we've filled in all of this gap. So I'm going to be sitting here waiting even more. Anyways, that's about it. Sorry, my cat's going to start yelling at me because she's going to want some attention. Also, my computer's about to die, so I need to plug in my charger. And also, this video is getting way too long. I'm probably saying the same shit over and over again at this point. But anyways, hope everyone has a good day. Looking forward to the live stream with Pete and Harry later. Hope you guys are too. If you have any questions about anything trading related, or I don't know, whatever you want to talk about really, feel free to leave a comment. Reach out to me on my Reddit account that I'll probably be posting this to on the Real Day Trading Reddit, or just leave a question for me in the One Option chat room. And yeah, peace out, guys.